Welcome to another episode of Chick Chat Live. My name is Cornelia, and on today's episode, we are talking about insecurities on the first segment. Our hot topic of the day is feedback. Do you receive feedback well, or do you give it at all? Joining me in the studio today is Renee Boateng, self-development and branding coach. Thank you for joining me. Did I get that right?
Yes, you got it right. You got it right.
I also have Emeline Nsingi Nkosi. Did I get that right? How's my accent doing? TV presenter, producer, voiceover artist, actor, all of that, girl. You better have those multi-hyphenates, okay? And of course, last but certainly not the least, Aisha Ayensu, founder of Christy Brown. Founder and creative director
of Christy Brown, yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a new tradition on the show. We have the Accra Monopoly here. I need you guys to pick a number between 2 and 12. Okay. The person with the highest number closest to what we roll gets to go first. Okay. So you have to say the number out loud.
3,
7, 6.
Emeline, over this.
Ooh,
what is that? 10? Who's 7? That's you.
You did 7.
No, but you said
yes. 6. So 7 is
I
high.
have to
so you get to go. So let's move on to the first topic. So, before I, sort of came up with why I wanted to, have a conversation around insecurities, it stemmed from me confronting some of mine as well. And I think sometimes when you're going through an insecurity, you kind of feel, you hide it and it's very secret. If it's not loud, you think you're the only one that has it. And I don't think we talk enough about how many of us have our own insecurities. But I think there's a line that should be drawn between having your insecurities and when you start to project them on other people or how loud they start to become. We do need to be aware of that. So if I start with you, at what point or have you started to notice where your insecurities become a little bit loud? Are there some that you've conquered or are there some that you're still struggling with? And if you can share. The ones you can actually share.
So maybe, does it have to be right now or can it be in the past, like when I was younger?
Yeah, just so you can start from like what you've conquered and yeah.
So I think one thing I've definitely conquered was my hair.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, they used to shave all my hair off, and that's like on my dad's side of the family. And for a long time, I thought I had to have like flowing hair and it had to be relaxed. So I feel like that's one thing that I conquered. But going through, when I kind of shaved it all off and growing that out, that was a huge, I think, insecurity marathon.
Yeah.
And through that, I kind of realized that, okay, it's also about what's inside. And at the same time, I had acne. So it was like just
your skin,
awful.
So what did you do? Like what was your reaction to your hair being shaved, for instance?
Oh, well, when it was shaved, so I was.
And was
like,
there a reason why they did that?
Yeah, because it was so hard apparently to look after. From the age of 0 to 3.
So it was the traditional thing that just shaved your hair.
Shave. But I was living in Paris, so I look like a boy. People look at pictures and they're like, oh, you look like a boy.
Yes. But girl, those twist outs are working. Like we would never have known that.
Thank you.
When you were talking about when you were much younger, then it reminded me of my insecurity when I was younger. Because in the beginning, I was thinking, what insecurities do I have? But when I was much younger, I was so insecure about my height.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you.
Okay.
I was so... I'm even looking... No.
I was the tallest.
I was the tallest. Okay. All my very good friends were really, really, really short. And another thing is, when we go clubbing, when we used to go out and everything, no boy will come and ask me to dance. I felt like they really like the small, cute girls. That maybe when they're dancing, they could carry them. But this is me, thick, tall, standing there. Yeah. And I just felt like they were probably intimidated by my height or... so I remember now, looking back, and all the pictures, I probably slouched a bit. Yeah. And that was my pose.
Try to make yourself small.
To make myself, smaller as well. Yeah. But right now, I even want to go higher. You know what I mean? So I think, it's also because you're thinking at what point is it, you know, it's also
You
growing
transition,
up, you know, getting more matured, accepting yourself, understandanding who you are and all of that, which, you know, comes as you mature and all that. And also it depends on, you know, your environment and the kind of people you're around, the kind of people you surround yourself with, positive-minded people that will compliment you and tell you what your good sides are. Then you start seeing it.
Right.
You say, I love my height.
Okay.
You know,
You better work it because people are looking for it. Everybody needs height. You wear heels because you need height. Height makes you look slimmer. You wear it. So if you have it naturally, girl, you better go ahead. Now, Aisha, over to you.
Because we're having the conversation earlier. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what are my insecurities. And Renee, like you saying that about going clubbing and being taller than your friends and so on, then it reminded me that I did have an insecurity at a point. And I think it was in that period where we were going out more and, you know, just hanging out with older people and so on. And I realized that guys like girls, what we call in Ghana, with body. And I'm petite. And I wasn't, you know, voluptuous or anything. But so at a point, I was like, oh, but I don't have, you know, I don't have the big boobs or now,
Or
you
shape,
know,
the
whatever
curve.
it's in now.
Yeah.
You know, so at the time, it was a thing. So I must have felt like, oh, I don't have it. But how I overcame it was that, well, those you know, guys who were attracted to me or whatnot, it was because they enjoyed me, right? So at the point where they're done with the girl who, it was because of their boobs or butt that they were chasing.
They always came back to you.
You know, we just have a good thing going and so on. So I realized that, you know what, it's fine. And then I learned to dress for my size and just the parts that I'm insecure about, like I don't have hips or anything. So I hardly do bodycon.
Okay.
But you know, if I do, oh, well, it doesn't matter. But before, I'd never.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just there's certain ways that I used to.
I understand that Chrissy Brown's get
The flowy. So it actually seeps into your designs.
And I realized that not everyone is that girl, that sexy girl that wants to. And we hardly even do like really low cleavage. And it's not the brand's aesthetic. You know, it's really not that. And it's just like enjoy your clothes and play with it. And so I found ways to like just have fun with my clothes and fashion.
Well, speaking of body image, I think one of the biggest thing has always been my arms from when I was a young girl. And it is the most uncomfortable thing to be insecure about because, can you see I'm wearing a blazer today? We have covered it. And I don't think it has anything to do with weight. It's just always been something that just felt, because like my body is, I just never liked my arms. We always have that one thing. I never liked my arms, so.
That's when we gain weight.
Yes. They call it the hallelujah arms. And you know when you do that, you know the hallelujah.
Yeah. Maybe when we start talking about feedback.
But
with me as well, I never ever wear anything sleeveless and go out. I've always liked, like, you know, 3/4 sleeve, long sleeve. For me, it's just a classic, like, sort of ladylike kind of look. Because I've seen so many people wear sleeveless clothes.
And it's just not your
very hairy.
Armpits.
You know, and I'm thinking, if you're going to wear that, at least, like, you know.
But then some people don't care because living in you know, America especially, trust me, I like my arms are fine, you know. But then it affects you know, the life you could possibly live in terms of optimum. Like, are you saying you won't go to the beach? So that means you're never going to wear a swimsuit. You're never going to wear swimsuit. Oh, I do. I do. I wear a cover. I could still, I wear sleeveless. Like this summer, I just said, you know what? Forget this. Forget this. Take it or leave it. I'm like, you know, I have come to that place, but it's still not my favorite thing to do.
It's interesting, I was going to say that you mentioned hair because I've always been, and I still am, very hairy. And I think that's my dad's Congolese side. And, you know, my arms and my legs. So it's like, even growing up, you know, when people be like, let's just go to the pool. I'll be like, I mean, like a whole wax everywhere. But I feel like being in Ghana and living here for 2 years, oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, this woman's like her. She's like fully hairy on her legs and she doesn't care. And I feel like
I think it's wax though. Like I think the hair
I still
and the legs,
do because
but the arms I leave my arm hair because I'm not doing
exactly.
I'm
so
not
like
doing
maybe
that.
not your arms.
No,
arms. But, you know, certain areas.
I leave my
But people who say maybe growing up here, because I've always lived here and so I guess abroad is a thing like shaving your legs or waxing. I've never felt the need to. I've never shaved my legs.
Really? Sorry, I have to look. Do you have?
Look,
You actually don't have hair.
you don't have
don't
any
have
hair.
Yeah, this isn't hair. She's not hairy.
You're not hairy.
You're not
No,
hairy.
you don't know what we are seeing.
Yeah,
You don't know what
sorry,
we are
guys. So I want to sort of pivot to career or job applications and going for things, because I think, there's that saying that goes, what you say about yourself or how you speak about yourself is probably the most important thing. So when applying for jobs, like in the history of your career, maybe not fashion, from when you were able to work, do you ever feel like you weren't qualified for a position, or you kind of feel like you see one position and you're like, this job is nice, but you're not brave enough to go for the role? Like, is that something you struggled with, or you being a presenter, have you just gone for it?
No, I think I would go for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're only as good as your last job, right? So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, oh, well, I did really well then, so then I'm sure I'll be okay.
Okay.
But for me, it was more before I went to presenting, when I was a graphic designer. So I was doing kind of more artworking, and I really wanted to move towards graphic design. I was a bit insecure whether I could do it or not. I just did a course.
Okay.
And then
So you acquired the skill to validate. Which maybe I should ask you this, Renee, because did you study self-branding, personal development? Did you study something?
Still studying.
Okay, so you same thing. You got qualified.
Yes.
Because I think as a creative or somebody that's just charting a new career or starting something new, it's the question of who validates you as a fashion designer if your clothes aren't in Selfridges, for instance, or your clothes aren't, a brand yet, because clearly you've become a brand, and who validates you as a development coach.
You said, did I study it? I said, I'm still studying it.
Yes.
Because I don't think anybody should finish something and say, now I'm, you have to continue studying. Things are changing all the time. Now, if I should, work with what I studied with from my degree, or what I learned from my degree 14 years ago to today, probably nobody would speak to me, because the time then is different.
Changed,
So you have to keep, that's why I said self-development, keep developing yourself every day and every day and every day, and learn new things all the time. A lot of the time, we rush into our degrees and into certain courses when we haven't
Found ourselves.
Thank you. So when you find yourself, it comes naturally to you. Of course, it's good to go and learn to know the ethics and to know the right things and everything.
Apprehensive as
And then
people say
yes, and a lot of the time, like you said, a lot of people will ask you.
Yeah.
Because I started professional makeup artistry in Ghana. Now, a lot of the time, I went and studied it, so that when I came and you asked me questions like you just asked, I can tell you, I went to the London School of Makeup.
Okay.
I went to London College of Fashion. Because that's what you want to hear.
Yes.
And in a way, when I tell you that, you sort of will give me a certain kind of respect and trust.
Okay.
I think that the first experience that I remember that I had with insecurities was probably when I went to boarding school. I know in Nigeria, you go to boarding school very young. I think I was like 8 or something like that, 9. My mom had cut my hair. I was flat as a board. I looked like a boy, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't look particular, but it didn't really bother me until I remember a day when I don't remember what we were doing, but it was a whole bunch of the girls, it was a girls' school. And they started picking on me. And they would pick on me and poke at me and say, oh, look at you. You look like a boy, you don't have breasts, you don't have anything. And I remember some seniors, when I was showering in the morning, they would literally surround me. And obviously this is your most vulnerable. You're literally naked and you're having a bath. And they would poke at me and say, oh, look at you, you don't even have breasts, you don't have anything. And I was 8 or 9. And I didn't know that I was supposed to. I didn't know that I was supposed to look a certain way or be a certain way. So it definitely was one of those things that stuck with me, because over time, I was there for 3 years. I was there from JS1 to JS3 before I left Nigeria. And till this day, it's one of those memories that I remember as a beginning of, oh, I don't look a certain way and it's wrong. And so it was one of those things that I kind of carried with me a little bit. It was in the back of my mind, as I was growing up. I probably was closer to my 30s. When I fully was kind of like, I don't care because I'm hot, stop. So it took a while for that to kind of get out of my system. And that was a physical, thing. In terms of maybe emotional or other kinds of insecurities, I think those were more inflicted in a way. It was more comparison, when I got to different spaces in my life and I would see other people doing things and I would think, oh, but I can't do that, or I don't do that well, or I don't do that as well as this other person. And so for me, it was a mixture of, yes, the physical, but also the emotional things of, oh, maybe I'm not smart enough, maybe I'm not good enough to be this way, or I'm not, I'm not intelligent enough to have been picked for a certain thing, or gotten this particular scholarship or this kind of thing. A lot of it was academic for me.
So I think that whenever you decide to start a business, you're just leaping into the unknown, and there can be so many things that keep you from going as hard as you need to be. And so when I go into rooms or I'm thinking about partnerships, I'm always conscious, right? And it's that consciousness that kind of can keep you from pushing forward. So I'm conscious of my age, right? That I'm going to be much younger by like 10, 15, sometimes 20 years of the people that I'm speaking to. I'm conscious of my gender and the expectations that other people have about how a young woman is supposed to act or look or behave in these situations. I'm also very conscious of my accent. I grew up in the States, and so are people going to be like, why does she sound like that? Why does she use those kind of words? Or, oh, I don't understand her. And so those have all been things that have run through my mind before I've decided to go and pitch myself for an opportunity or go and try and talk to someone new, and like just being nervous or scared that maybe they're going to judge me or maybe they're not going to take me serious. I think the pressure of having a business and knowing that you have bills to pay at the end of the month can sometimes force you to not let those things kind of take over and keep you from going forward. But it's something that I'm mindful of, and I think that that's energy that I'm spending on something that I should be doing something more useful with my brain power or more useful with my time. And that if I didn't have those things in my head, who knows, like maybe I'd be a lot more ambitious, maybe I'd be much more outgoing and reaching out and talking to people. But it's definitely something that I've worked on and I'm much better at than when I first moved to Lagos.
It's an interesting question, and when it comes to confronting insecurities, it's funny because I've been thinking about that a lot in the last few weeks, and I've been thinking about the power of being confrontational, and the power of being confrontational not for the sake of starting drama, but for the sake of letting bygones be bygones, and also allowing there to be sincerity in a lot of the experiences that I go through in life. I can be a very passive person, but I can be also extremely intentional. So I think it depends on the relationship. If it's a relationship of someone who is just a stranger, most likely I'm going to leave it alone. Why? Because if someone is not mature enough, they cannot handle the confrontation. But if it's a relationship that is long-term and extended, then I believe it's my responsibility as someone who cares about this person to address the insecurity. And I would want them to do the same for me. And I've started to do that with a lot of my relationships. So for example, if I feel like I have a friend who is not being supportive or not being present in what's happening in my life in the same way that I'm present in her life, I think that's just another form of an insecurity. I think people don't behave the way they should because of there's something going on with them. You know, when we're dealing with something, we cannot be present in each other's lives. So if something like that happens, I'll just simply say, oh, I would really like for you to be a bit more present, or what's going on? Is there something, I've noticed some sort of tension in your life, not between us, but in your life that is beginning to affect the way we're addressing each other. And I always find that because I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm beginning to find that God wants me to be extremely honest and talk about the hard things with my friendships. And that hurts. Sometimes you're going to lose some friends. Some friends are going to be like, peace out. I'm not in it for this. But I'm also finding that this is what makes good, long-lasting, deeper relationships, and also what helps us become better people.
When I had really bad acne, I also wanted to be a presenter.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think anybody would really want to look at me like it was really bad.
Yeah.
So what I did, I forced myself to film like vlogs, and I waited until I traveled to the US on holiday to release them.
Yes.
So that I'd be
So you
away.
ran away?
I ran away. And I remember when I released the first one, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. No one's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So what you're looking at, somebody probably will notice.
Oh no, it was very bad.
Yeah.
But for me, So for me, it was like, you know what? Hone in your skill. You can maybe do a course to feel confident that you have a backing, and it could be a short course. Mine was a short course, or experience. Keep doing it, and over time you get better. You get better and better.
Keep doing it.
You build your confidence.
Yeah.
So you will be shaking in
So
the beginning.
what's helped you? What are some of the things you do to yourself or say to yourself? Have you ever had to look in the mirror and be like, I got this. I
So,
got this.
even looking at the trajectory of, I studied psychology. I didn't go to fashion school. I didn't go to like a Parsons or whatever.
Yeah.
So when I launched Christy Brown, I was still in uni, right?
Yeah.
Like, what did I know?
Yeah.
But after, I decided to just at least learn how to construct a garment, know what goes into it. But I still didn't know much. I did 9 months of the course.
Yeah.
To be honest, that doesn't make you a fashion designer.
Yeah.
But it's just learning on the job.
Yeah.
Just like, just getting over the little insecurities. And then you earn one accolade here. And then, you're featured in one
that
magazine.
gives you
It's
the
like,
confidence
what?
you need to
This
say,
is our
I
thing,
am Christy Brown, okay?
Maybe we're on to something. And then you just keep going. But you can't be fully prepared before you start.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So you just get your feet wet and then you see that it's not so bad. And then I'll go into the deeper end of it. But it happens to all of us. And even when you feel like, oh, well, I'm at a certain level now, or I've established a brand now, there are still insecurities about, am I that great, to be honest? You know, there are even, like, there's so many people in this space and they're doing amazing things. What sets you apart? But just keep it. That's your path. Just keep going at it. Just keep
And you also
at it.
have to be willing to learn from your mistakes. And you have to know that you're not perfect. So if you're waiting for perfection to start, you never start. You have to be willing to also accept constructive criticism. You can't be offended. I think that anybody who doesn't have any periods of insecurities or are dead. As long as you are alive, you will definitely sometimes, sometimes even hormonal with women at that time of the month. My goodness, you don't want to even go out. But it's about you being disciplined to pick yourself up and tell yourself, listen, I am worth something. I'm good. As long as you make an impact on one human being, my goodness, you are so unique. There's nobody like you. So you have to, I tell myself that all the time. Sometimes I'm looking at myself to find faults. There are faults in my personality. There are things that so some people know me. I'm changing. I'm becoming better every. That's not who I was. No, seriously. Sometimes my reactions to certain things. Some years ago, I'll probably hold your shirt like that. Now I'm like, God should take you. I mean, like, you're growing and you're maturing and all of that. So it's all different, But I think that you really should have that sort of. Once you wake up in the morning, you're alive. There's no time to waste on putting yourself down. Hey, please, we have to always put yourself. I always tell my clients that there's nobody like you. I think you're so amazing. And I mean it. It's true.
Thanks for I feel like, yes. You just got some life there. Well, that's all we have time for. So we'll be moving on to the next segment. Well, guys, that's all we have time for in this segment. We'll be back with our hot topic of the day, which is giving feedback. Do you receive it or do you give it?
Oh my goodness.
We'll be back.
How do you absorb feedback from friends and family? Do you tend to give feedback or not say anything at all? Do you get defensive when you receive feedback? Here's the story. My friend is an event planner, and I anonymously recommended her for a job at our end-of-year party at my bank. The meeting was with our corporate communications team, top management, as well as head of treasury. I had briefed my friend to wear a suit since my bank is quite traditional and conservative, but much to my surprise, she came in for the pitch looking scruffy and scattered. She delivered a good presentation, but the team and all felt that her communication wasn't fluid prior to the pitch, and based on her appearance, they weren't confident that she would pay attention to detail. My director is very particular and judged her upon arrival. Her hair looked unkempt, and they felt she didn't represent the brand visually, even though what she had on paper looked good. My boss told me that she couldn't say this in front of people, but that lady needs to pull herself together. I noted all the comments they made, and I gave her the feedback kindly, and I mentioned that I had heard from other people that she could work on her personal presentation. Whoa, this set her off. She immediately took offense and said she was fine if they didn't like that she was the best for the job, but she finds that it's discrimination, that it wasn't based on the proposal, but her looks. She was very upset and asked me where my appearance has ever gotten me beyond a 9 to 5, and at least she has a successful business. Did I say too much? Was this unwarranted and unwelcome criticism, or was she overly sensitive? How much value do you place on giving feedback in friendships?
Welcome back, guys. You heard that story. She was definitely salty about the feedback. So I'm going to start with you, Emeline. Who's, let's not take sides, but what side of the fence are you on? With the friend that gave the feedback or with the friend that received the feedback?
I feel like there's some issues in the story in the sense of the friend who gave feedback did it out of kindness.
Yes.
And her friend shouldn't have been so salty. She shouldn't have got so offended.
Yeah.
Right.
But I understand the friend who got offended because unless her job is in the corporate environment, we don't know what she was wearing. Maybe she was just kind of still smart, but maybe her hair was a little bit wild. I mean, we don't know exactly. And I feel like that's also wrong. So I'm torn.
To judge somebody on appearance. I agree with that. But, I agree with that to a certain degree. I agree with that to a certain degree. Please.
Her friend even told her before she came
that you should wear a suit. Yeah. She probably ignored that.
My friend had mentioned something like, she should wear a suit. I mean, I didn't think she had to wear a suit. But just look put together. And I think
Fashion
that's what
designer.
and that's what one of her bosses, her friend's bosses had said, that she just needs to pull herself together. Because you're an event organizer or whatnot. So you're paying attention to details. Water. Is that, do we have our waiter station at the right place? Is it, you need a certain level of detail. You need to be detail oriented. And if you can't even put yourself together. I won't trust my event in your hands.
Like, I coach on personal branding, and I keep saying that wear your brand. So who are you? Carry yourself in a way that when you introduce yourself to somebody and you say who you are. So hi, I'm Aisha. I'm founder of Chrissy Brown. I should say, oh no wonder, not rather. Are you sure? So that is like. Really? Is this you? Yeah. So that means that when I mention, I'm just using you as an example because you're here, but you have to carry yourself in a way that you be trusted. Now, whether we like it or not, we're not supposed to be judgmental, but human beings, like we just judge on appearance at once. 5 seconds. It's called the goldfish effect. I only learned that last week.
Right. Well, you better use it.
now the thing is, when I'm training people, I tell them, okay, sometimes the CV doesn't matter because you'll be called because they've read the CV. Now, as they're reading the CV, they are picturing somebody in mind. Now, you are saying you got this, so I'm picturing somebody in mind. So now when you walk in, I'm imagining something, and you walk in like that, I'm like, oh no. Now, in recruiting you, you're going to represent me, my brand, okay? Now, the employer can say she's very good on the sheet. But then, but he or she cannot represent our brand, it cannot stand for us. Your image is very important. Sometimes you can get the job because of your image, and then you'll be trained to do the job. Because sometimes they want that image, they want that presence. So there's no excuse there. Now, I think she's a good friend to tell her friend, to give her friend feedback. I think she's a good friend because by giving her that feedback on her next, maybe interview or whatever, she could pick herself up if she would take it. That's the thing.
So I read this. One of the I think, what's the word? Toughest or hardest books for me to read was The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. It took me like 3 months to read that book because I would put it down first. I had to digest some of the truths that came out in the book. And when you read books, sometimes it'd be a line, a quote that would just resonate with you. And I'll just read a quote from the book. And it says, confronting and solving problems is a painful process which most of us attempt to avoid. And the very avoidance results us in greater pain and an inability to grow both mentally and spiritually. Right. So if we apply that quote to maybe the friend who received the information and got offended, is when people are not ready. And another quote that, this is where I put it down, and this is where it also made me feel validated in me not necessarily giving people feedback. And he said, if you are not sure that what you're going to say to that other person, that person is going to use it and receive it as truth. And use it, like if you can assess that based on this person's personality, they're already going to take it the wrong way and they're not going to receive the truth that you're delivering, then don't say anything.
I agree. I agree.
You know what I mean? Because if you already know your friend and you already know that, you're just like, if you're not sure that this, or there's just maybe one way you would say it.
So I think you have to, you have to have a certain kind of relationship.
Or should people really take ownership, like she's saying, like if you don't want to confront, the problems, like it's a painful process.
Now,
so maybe she's not happy with her look.
Number one, if you are not the kind that is willing to accept, then don't put yourself out there So sometimes on social media, you will see somebody put a picture, yay or nay.
Yeah.
They have to say yay or yay. Because you ask the question, yay or nay.
Yeah.
Then you start insulting everybody who says nay.
Nay.
Why nay? If you don't like it, go to another page. But you ask me a question and I'm giving you my opinion. Now, if you're somebody who is that, like, you know, sensitive, is that the word? I don't know. Then don't push yourself out there. Now, if you are given information, feedback, I think you have to know the person. There are some people that in giving them that honest truth, you're even breaking them more.
Yeah.
So rather than tell them to the face, if you're very close to them, you can suggest, oh, let's go shopping. You know, and then you'll be helping them, oh, pick this. This will really suit you. So gradually, in that way, you have styled them.
I don't like personal interference. That's a lot for me.
That's why I said it depends on who the person is to you. Or you can't just come up to them, hi, do you want to go shopping tomorrow?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that. But it depends. I was saying friend. What kind of friend?
In the, you know, even how her friend reacted, or those people who get like really salty and
Yes.
stuff. Do you know in their quiet moments
They think about it.
Yes. So I'd rather put it out there, and then don't worry, you'll be upset with me, and Aisha is too blunt, or whatever it is. But at some point,
You're gonna realize,
thinking, and then you realize they start, you know, tweaking their ways a bit on their own in their own time. But at that point, she might lash out and so on.
Yeah.
You know,
I think a good friend should say it. I think so.
So, Emily, if you had a friend who had bad breath, for instance, because it's not just, let's just forget the appearance, like a good friend.
A good friend.
A good friend. I mean, maybe not your bestie, because I'm sure if it's your bestie at some point, you would have had a gum a few times. But if you had a good friend who had bad breath, would you give feedback?
If it was a very, very good friend, I think I would.
And how would you say it?
Girl, did you have onions for lunch?
Okay, so you would be like, girl, like, because you would have that relationship with her to say that. Okay.
Like, what did you eat? Was it onions or... I don't
Because that doesn't really address it, though. Yeah, that doesn't address it. That's
you can have bad breath at any time.
Yeah.
Do you
But
guys?
then they'll be like...
No.
And then they'll be aware of, oh, I need to always make sure my breath smells
Will
good.
they think that, okay, just today?
Yes, because if you
Juicy.
say onions, it's like, oh,
It's
you
just
have
like,
like
oh,
suya.
now.
You know how suya can
Same.
smell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. I find it very hard to give feedback to people because of what you were saying, that they would get offended. And I feel like I'm very aware of myself. So often I know, this or that. And so I feel like everybody should have this introspective, of themselves. But then
What does that mean? Or
what was that?
I will appreciate anybody telling me anything that they think I should know, especially if everybody else. And it's so painful when you get up and walk and, oh my goodness, your friend.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about it. But when you are not there, if the person is your friend and a sister, my goodness, you should tell her.
Which makes that girl a good friend for at least giving her the feedback.
I think so. Well, how will I do it? I'm just picturing this right now. I think I truly will tell her, like, do you know something? Your breath smells so bad.
Ooh.
But that's what. But it's a fact. No, what should I say? That in the beauty of your glory, and then what? I mean, what should I come and tell you now? No, like, you know, something, like, seriously, like, something, it is true.
I think maybe, you know what? Okay,
do you have a cavity?
Like, you know what? Don't be obsessive. You know how you.
Yeah.
And I'll start that way, so it's like, don't be obsessed. I'm only saying this because I don't want people even really.
Yes.
I think there's some sort of,
you
have like a breath issue. Maybe we can go to that dental, there's this new dental clinic I found. And then, you would sort of drift it into like the solution. So then she doesn't get too offended. And she may be like, for how long? I'm like, I know this is a while ago, but I just didn't want to offend you. Or what. But so then it becomes like a conversation. I'm like, no, I'm sure we can sort it out. Then I'll say, I heard sometimes you have some issues in your belly, and then that's how it comes. You just pull things out of the bag, but it's
where did you pull that belly one from, though? How do you have something in your belly that comes out of your mouth?
She's whining about that.
Some people don't brush their tongue.
Are you open to receiving feedback? So it's clear that all of you guys at some point feel the need to, if I'm close to the person, I will tell them. Are you open to receiving feedback? And what feedback have you received that has stung a little bit that you're like,
let me tell you one, okay? Now, I'm very, very open to feedback, but I think that it depends on where you say it and how you say it.
Okay.
So, for example,
But
if we're
shouldn't
at
the
a
truth
wedding,
just be the truth if it's not blatantly rude?
no, let me tell you this, okay? For example, okay, if we're at a wedding, having fun, dancing on the dance floor, is that the time to tell me I have bad breath? What should I do about it here?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Just
So I
kills
think
my
that
mood, yeah.
notice it and everything. At another time, you could even, let's have lunch and then we discuss and how. But if there and there, I'm like, Shaku, then you tell me that, then what? What should I do? No, what should I do? So I remember growing up, I was living with my brother after uni and I was putting on weight, but I wasn't seeing it.
Yeah.
Because the bigger sizes are available. So
Yeah,
if
so
10
you
is
just
not
buy
fitting me, I just go buy 12, then I'll buy 14. And it's normal. I'm just buying the size that fits.
Yeah.
You know, and he told me then that I was putting on weight, but it's how he said it. I was so angry with him. You're going fat, Papa.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like a
Africans are so
slap.
bad with that thing. They'll just
That's
see
like
it
do you understand? Do you understand what I
going on?
mean? But then if like maybe he had said that, yeah, I don't know. If he had said it in a different way, I probably would have taken notice.
Yeah.
And would have, but I think that even made me angrier and I was even eating more.
So you were like, what's the bad friend that said, where has your dressing? When your dressing gets you back at 9 to 5. So that stung a little bit.
I think it's how you say. A friend of mine told me recently that she was in a shop, she was at a counter, and she met a lady she hasn't seen in a very, very, very long time. Now she is gone Afro, so she had an Afro on. And she said, the lady, you haven't seen her in a long time. You don't have that kind of relationship. She just came and tapped her on the shoulder. She said, hey, but what is this mountain of something that she said? She said she just asked, have you seen the horse on your head?
Clap back.
Do you understand?
Feedback,
It's
clap back.
defensive.
Yeah, she was defensive.
Do you understand? It's a normal thing. It's a human thing. But then it's like you're not expecting that. So I think feedback is very, very good. But we just have to be conscious of how we say it and when we say it as well.
Emily, so what would you say your
I'm thinking
biggest
back,
feedback was?
I don't know. I have a friend of mine who's very open in sharing her opinion when anything anything that she doesn't think I'm doing right or whatever. But I feel like it's tact that has to be
the tact of it.
because for me, whatever you say, I kind of build a barrier and I'm like, whatever you say just goes straight over my head.
Yeah.
But there was one time, which was interesting because it kind of links to the woman, where it was like, I feel like you're not making an effort anymore, you're not dressing up anymore. But then a guy that I knew was like, I think you dress up too much and you're this.
So it's like, where do you find the
I was
balance?
like, so for me, I was like, you know what? It's just my own barometer of like where I am. But sometimes people do like to give you feedback. And in our industry, I always sit there and I'm like, where does it come from? Yeah, but it's
y'all don't know me.
Yes, you don't know me, but then also, where does it come from?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like it's not from a place of love. And when it's not from a place of love and I don't really know you, like barrier goes up.
Yeah.
Maybe write me a letter and maybe I'll read it,
Or maybe block.
Block,
We just block you.
But when it's face to face as well, you're just like...
Yeah, because there are some bold people that would just come up to you like, hey,
What's going on?
What's it? And but I think for me, I get most, which is funny, offended or like hurt from my mum.
Yeah,
because
African women and
well,
mothers
she's
are
actually
very...
a French woman, and I think sometimes, like I remember way back in the day, I was dating this guy, and I was like, "Oh, mum, look this photo," and I was so happy. And she was like, "He doesn't like you as much as you like him.
Oh, God.
He doesn't like you," and I was like, "This
How
is
did
like
she
5
know that
years
from
ago."
the picture? What, you weren't smiling or what? Like,
I don't know, and I was like, and for a long time I was like, right, that's just ruined everything.
Yeah.
And it never went anywhere. And I was like, maybe mothers know.
Yeah.
Or,
they have an instinct.
They have,
I think
So when it comes to...
what's really heartbreaking and painful about giving feedback is when the person has an issue with it, it's a problem.
Yeah.
That they
They're
probably are even
struggling with.
they're struggling with.
Which is where that don't say it if
so
you don't
sometimes
know.
so
If
sometimes
they're ready
it
for
depends
Yeah,
on
exactly.
so like I will use myself as an
be safe.
example, okay? So like, I got married in Africa, you expect that once you get married by the first year, you should have your baby. And even I was expecting that as well.
Yeah.
But it took a very, very long time. And sometimes you get people, asking you, how many children do you have now? And you say none. And what are you waiting for? And you are doing business. And you get up and you go here. And that's like, you're just stabbing and stabbing. Because for all you know, the person has sleepless nights over it. That's why I'm saying that. You shouldn't even say it just there, like you know that.
So there has to
you know,
be
like some people can even take somebody.
feedback. Do you see what I mean? I feel like that's just you meddling in someone's
Yes,
business.
I think it kind of it goes a little hand in hand because it's still unsolicited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again,
No, but you know, let me tell you
feedback
this,
doesn't
though.
always have to be solicited.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is that some people too would say, and truly it's because they care about you.
Yeah.
So they're probably saying that, oh, Renee, take a break in your business. Have your children come back. They think they're giving you good advice. They think they are, because of growing up your age, hormones. But to them, they're probably thinking they are showing you love.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Okay, speaking of showing love, let's talk about love and feedback when it comes to love. Because I had a conversation about friends not liking your boyfriend, friends not liking your husband. Like, is that feedback really necessary when you know your friend likes a particular guy or is already entangled in the relationship? Yes, so I'm saying, no. Of course it's not. But I'm saying that there's just some women who feel the need to like if it's your bestie and you guys hang together and she knows and she feels like maybe you've settled. You know what I mean? But she just doesn't send. You say, I don't like this guy for you. You can say it. You say it.
I remember the word sounds too direct.
Direct. Okay.
So you say it. You say, I don't like this guy for you.
He's not like, why?
Yeah.
You know yourself. You know this is, and then you remind them. Or you remind them of who they are. And I'm
sometimes
maybe
what do you like about him though?
Yeah.
You know, maybe he may.
But sometimes I feel some girls, you've just waited, like, that boss didn't come for a while. You just jump on the bus. So you're the friend that's telling her, but this girl, now this is not what we. Yeah.
And like Renee, we pray a lot. You know what God has set out for you. This is not, I'll say it. Though.
Yeah.
And then
Aisha, you're just talking. You're just saying.
I just think I know, and I get.
When it comes to relationships and all that, I'm so careful.
Would you say if your friends, if you saw, this has happened, where, you've seen your friend's husband and somebody just runs up to him and says, Daddy. Like a 3-year-old. So you see your friend's husband and you're like, that's not my friend's child. So when it's things that are actually that grave, would you see, if you see your friend's husband cheating, like somebody has said to me, Thingy said he saw you in a club. Like, I don't even say if I see my friend's husband outside. Right. It's not my business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily feel the need to go and tell my friend. So I'm not a fan of telling people anything. So do you feel, because that's if the husband is maybe gay and you see it or you heard it and you know it, if the husband is cheating and you know that he's having an affair, if the husband has gotten somebody else pregnant and the person is your friend, when we're talking about this feedback, I think we've been a bit light. Let's get into the meaty things of, will you, I'm putting people in a corner, will you tell?
I think that she may have been overly sensitive in this instance. But I think it's important to give this kind of feedback, because if you don't give this kind of feedback, how then does the person grow? There's a way in which to give feedback. And there's a way also to be considerate when giving feedback. I think that we all have to take these things into account. We don't know what the backstory was. We don't know if she had some kind of car incident on the way and that's why she came in looking a little bit harried and worse for wear. We don't know. So I think that with this particular situation, perhaps the friend should have been like, okay, so what happened before you came? And then hear that story and then say, oh, I understand. Well, this is what they said, Sha, but I mean, I get your point, and they wouldn't have known that, So I just think that maybe in the future, blah, 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 you should have a backup of this, or maybe you should have it, just make sure that before you walk in, you do a quick once-over of yourself and just try and make sure that you're putting best foot forward. That's for this instance. But in general, I think with feedback, it can be tricky, but if it's done from a place of love, I think that if the person is truly your person, that's also the thing. Like, who are you giving this feedback to and how are you giving it to? If somebody who is a stranger gives me feedback, I might not receive it the same way that I would receive it if my mother was giving me feedback or if my best friend was giving me feedback. Also because I know their intentions. A lot of times we don't assume best intentions when somebody is giving you feedback, especially if the person doesn't know you very well. So they don't know what you've gone through, or they don't know what your situation is, they don't know what's been going on. So with feedback, I think that we have to be very mindful, and we have to say to ourselves, okay, this feedback that I'm giving, is it useful to this person? Is it going to help them grow? And as I'm giving this feedback, am I doing it in the best way positive? Because when you're giving critique, like, nobody likes to be criticized, but if you couch it in a way where they know that, okay, this is coming from a place of love, and this is because I'm saying this to you because I want you to grow. I'm saying this to you because I want you to be better. I'm saying this to you because I want you to get that next gig, or or hit that presentation out of the park next time, whatever the case may be. Then it's a little bit easier to swallow.
So I'm not a giver of feedback. I am a cheerleader. I literally gas people up for life. My love language is words of affirmation, which I've talked about a lot. And I love shining the light on things that people are doing that are good. And I believe that when I do that, I have the space to be honest with people about things they're not doing well. So there's a verse in scripture that says that you should season your words with salt. And Paul says that when he's talking about sharing the gospel. And the reason why he says that is because our natural inclination as human beings is to block and stiffen and balk when someone tells us this wasn't good, you could have done better. But if you have a pool of good words that you have deposited into this person's life, if you drop just a little pebble of criticism, they're most likely going to take it better than just one drop of good words and lots of words of criticism. So I believe that being in a position to give people feedback, you have to have some sort of agency of goodwill in their life. Otherwise, you don't really have a right to. If it's a situation that's extremely dire and you're just like, oh my gosh, really, like, no, baby, you need to not do this again, no problem. But be discerning about how you say it. Because there's nothing worse than giving someone feedback and then not having the ability to continue that relationship with that person. Honestly, the honest truth is that you should be able to do that because the person should be mature enough to receive the feedback. But we all know that that's not how human beings are. We're not mature enough to receive feedback. It doesn't work that way. So people will be like, I tell it as it is. No, baby, that's not life. Life is not about telling it as it is. Life is about communicating. And telling it as it is not communicating. So I've learned that it's more important about communicating than just saying what's on my mind. So I build up. I build up to giving feedback. I build up to getting to a place where I can be honest with someone about this and that. And I'm learning that because I'm learning that it's more important for me to be able to, again, like I said, communicate than just to say and talk and, you know, tell someone something.
So in my old company, we had a saying called feedback is a gift. And it never felt like that because it always felt like people were just bearing me down all the things that you were doing wrong. And I think that over the past couple of years as being a manager and essentially feeling responsible for other people's growth and development, my perspective on feedback has changed. I think there always has to be a way for you to help someone. It's not enough to just give someone and tell them what they're doing wrong, but you want to be able to communicate it in a way to help them do better. And I think that we all have a responsibility to help people do better. So sometimes when someone's just saying something rude, you're like, you just are being rude. You're not trying to help me at all. Versus in this scenario, if the person was legitimately trying to help them do better, I think the way they could have communicated it could have been better. We know our friends. Some people are quite sensitive. Some people can't hear it. And I think secondly, we can give feedback in a way that's constructive, but also like brings it back around to the helpful part. So instead of saying that, oh, you didn't get this opportunity because you looked like this, we'd be like, oh girl, I'm going shopping this weekend. I think you might like this person. I think you might like their style, you know, or I heard about this new opportunity. It would be good, but there are some requirements. You might want to take a look at it.
So I found out that a friend of mine's husband was talking to a friend of mine, another friend of mine. Okay, but they don't know each other. My two friends don't know each other. Now, I think his wife had traveled or something. And my friend, my other friend, not the wife, was actually liking the guy, like sort of fell in love with him. So she told me. When she told me, I also know his wife, and his wife calls me like my sister. You know, I felt like, you know, I can't not say anything about it. I'm betraying her. And I can't even, it would be bad. I would feel really guilty and all that. So I spoke to the guy himself directly. Number one, I felt like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that with somebody I even know. Okay, and also you met that person in my house. That's even worse. Do you see what I mean? It puts me, So I said to him that your wife will never hear this. I will never tell your wife. But I really think that I know the kind of relationship you guys have. You can't break it up because of this. It's not even worth it. You know, so and he apologized to me. Yeah. And you know, he was happy that I told him. Yeah. Because sometimes it can just be temptation.
Oh, that's a good guy. Well, I can't even really call him a good guy. He's happy you didn't put him on blast, or he was happy you told him.
I didn't tell him. And I also told my friend. I said, look, he has a wife.
Told her?
No, she knows. I didn't tell the wife. The wife, I don't know. I haven't seen.
No, the friend. Did the friend know he had...
I don't know if she knew at the time, but I did tell her that, do you know that he's married? Yeah. And he loves his wife. His wife has just traveled. So you are just like now till she comes back. You are the summer chick. Yeah. Do you understand? And
the weekend chick.
And also my question to her was, do you want to get married one day? Yes. Yeah. Would you like your husband to do that? No. Then don't do that to somebody else's husband. Yeah. Simple. Yeah. Do you understand?
So you would tell constructively?
I think so. Yeah,
Would you tell if you knew your friends?
Oh no, I'll go to the guy.
Okay. And you go to the guy if he was gay. You go to the guy if he was.
No, I'll go to the guy and even try and help and even try to stage an intervention with him because if you're worry, we can tell it like let's go and tell her. No, because you need to tell her. I don't want to be about the baby, him being gay and whatnot. Because I understand that this is your sexual orientation. I get it. But you know what? She might actually be open. Like, I'll try and coach him into, let's go and
which
tell
girl
her.
Do you know is going to be open to that? She might actually be open.
Guy. I said, I'll speak.
No, I'm saying what you're saying. Let's go and tell her. She might actually. Who is my actually? She might be open to what?
Just tell her.
But you have to be careful about telling the friend because you can become a bad one.
Yes, you always become alienated.
Or me, you know all the time.
Or the girl already knows.
Yes, like okay.
There's some people that already know and they don't want you telling them. They don't want to know.
Yeah. You know, an auntie told me this story and I laughed. It was so funny. She said that she was there someday. Somebody called her and told her about her husband seeing somebody else. She said to the lady, and you know, sometimes it's good to shut them up and then maybe deal with it later. Yeah. But she said to the lady, I've been with only him and I 22 years. He's tired. Let him do something. You know, in a way.
She wasn't okay sharing.
Do you understand? But in a way as well, it just sort of blocked this and shut the person up. You know, then you will see how you do it. Because some people say all those things spitefully. Spitefully.
Because maybe you've had this Agodai love and they've been watching you that you think they're the only one that is happy. They're waiting for the opportunity to drop that bad seed. But Emeline, would you give the feedback?
It was a very, very close friend. I think I would.
Yeah.
Directly to her.
Yeah.
To her.
It's hard, isn't it? Because
I think
she could end up hating you. It depends whether they're married or whether they're in an early relationship.
No, I'm speaking married. Boyfriend, forget it. Forget it. I'm not saying nothing. Married is married. That's when there's commitment.
I'm trying to put myself in a position because all my friends are kind of getting married now, right? So I'm projecting myself in 5 years. I think I'll just be like, hey, girl, you know, I heard something. It depends whether you saw it or you heard. Yeah. If you heard, it's probably lies. Yeah. If you saw it, let the guy know that you saw it.
That's what first of all, establish eye contact.
Yes. But I think you guys' intervention is nice. I think I'd kind of go more for the blackmail. I'm joking. I'd be like, I saw you there.
Yeah.
You come and introduce myself to you.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. And I would so that if it comes out one day, you can't say I'm lying. You saw me, I walked up to you. Yeah. Right now, to paparazzi is dangerous. With phones.
I was going to say, phones.
She said with phones.
You know, you were saying that
you saying hi to him and maybe he's standing with another girl. Maybe somebody took a picture of it. So you were hanging out with him.
And you know, you were saying that if you see your friend's husband or boyfriend in a club or something, you won't say. I remember one time my husband had traveled and he did tell me he was going to the party in America. Yeah. I was somewhere and somebody tagged me. Yeah. You know, now that person who tagged me is not even my friend. Yeah. So I don't even know, but do you understand? But just imagine if, and that party was, let's say, in Maryland, for example. What if he told me he was going to Dubai? Yeah. And they've tagged my husband today in Maryland on Facebook. Do you see what I mean? Wow. So do you understand?
This age of social media,
so you just have to be, you just have to be very, very careful and tactful and all that. I mean,
they're very, very, which is why this quote resonated with me so well, because it made me feel less guilty about not saying.
So you wouldn't say?
I don't want to make it a blanket statement that I wouldn't say, but I'm very cautious about giving feedback. We're running out of time. I can just summarize with like one word. I just need yes, no, if you can.
Okay,
if it were you and you had that situation, would you stay yes or no?
Which one?
Is that a deal breaker if your husband had a child outside? A 3-year-old.
And you
you
knew about
didn't
it?
know. No, you didn't know. You just found out and the child is 3. Would you stay or would you go
Stay away.
in the marriage?
How long have you been married for?
It doesn't matter. Girls, yes, no, time is ticking.
Would we stay? Yes or no?
I would.
You would?
No.
Deal
Would
with
you?
it. I don't
Yes.
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 Oh my God, there's 3 yeses.
You would say?
I would. Okay, so it's a little. It's not as black and white.
Yeah,
but I
of
think
course,
that
it's
I
fine.
think that if I was invested in the relationship, it's not as easy as just walking away.
it's
Which
just walking
we
away.
shouldn't really say that we'll stay. But I think it's the
they
reality.
should-
You think about your kids.
No, they better not watch it. Here, and then
There's like a whole list of
Yeah, don't watch it so he doesn't think we're endorsing bad behavior, right?
I'll be back.
Well, thank you guys for being so candid. That was
It's
such an
been
honest
fun. It's been so
conversation.
much
Thank you
fun.
so much. Thank you guys for watching. That was a really fun episode. We already know if you have insecurities, try and confront them before people confront them for you. And when it comes to giving feedback, be sensitive about your friends' feelings.
Right.
Think before you speak.
Yeah.
That's all we have time for today. I'll see you next week on Check Chat.
Yay, well done.